So tonight's video is going to be slightly different. This is the first in a series that I'm going to call Loose Reviews, where I either go over a figure that I've already opened and I don't have the packaging for, anything that I might have traded for or received in the mail, anything else that falls into that category, something that I find that is already opened at a flea market, so on and so forth. I purchased these three. They were all loose. I wanted the Death Trooper specifically for my Mandalorian collection. And then of course I needed Chopper and Ezra to complete my Rebels collection. Well, not to complete, but to help to complete. As of now, I'm still missing Sabine. I'm on the hunt. Coming for you, girl. Just real quick, wanted to go over sculpt, articulation, detail, paint, all of that stuff for these three figures in this video. Might be slightly long, might be slightly short. But yeah, let's jump into it and see what we find. Before we get into opening and reviewing this figure, we have a new sponsor, addictedcollectibles.com. They have all kinds of stuff up for pre-sale and for sale. Make sure to also check out their Facebook and Instagram accounts. At checkout, make sure you put in your discount code, FanboyPlayroom. It's all one word. And you get a nice little discount. Thanks again to Addicted Collectibles, and let's get into this review. So we're going to start out with this bad bastard right here. It's Mr. Death Trooper. I believe this is from the Rogue One release. Almost everything about this figure I absolutely adore. From his spindly, thin-ass legs to his overall lean kind of design. I really love this figure. I really loved the look as soon as I saw it in those first minutes of Rogue One. I couldn't bring myself to buy one because I wasn't really that big of a fan of Rogue One. Or just the figures suck. And he gets to go on in my Mandalorian setup because, as you remember, he does show up in the Mandalorian. Starting with his accessories, he does come with this super dope blaster. I like the design of this. I don't know that it's shown up anywhere before. So other than the sculpt detail, there isn't really a lot of paint on here except for that red band or the red bar right there for some reason. Not sure. I guess there's maybe a little bit of silver down in the chamber. And then we have this gun that sits in this awkward ass holster. This is my only gripe. What the shit is this? I haven't watched Rogue One in a bit, so I don't know if this is completely accurate, but it's whatever. But it is a super dope pistol. I do like the design of this. I saw it somewhere else recently. I've been watching a lot of Clone Wars recently. I don't know if it's showed up there. It kind of looks like Hondo's blaster, but it's not exactly the same. Again, no paint apps. That's fine. It can be just a gray piece of plastic. It's still a super dope accessory. So sculpt wise and paint wise, there isn't a ton of paint on this guy. We have a belt buckle, silver belt buckle, some silver and blue up on the face. Dig that. Some buttons. Some of this has been painted, whether it's the joints have been painted this light or dark gray, or if it's the actual armor. His hands do appear to be that same dark gray plastic. But there is a little bit of detail here and there. A little wash, a little bit of paint. I dig it. He doesn't need much. I love, for the most part, I love the soft plastic add-ons, the tactical vests, this kind of stuff. I realized that this little guy is kind of intrusive and does stick up and can get in the way. I dig this design, this figure design, this character design, period. I don't know why it took us so long to get a super dope black stormtrooper. Anyway, as far as articulation, he's pretty much the same as any of the rest of them. He's got a head swivel, no back, very little forward, no real head tilt. This is an older figure, so you're bound to have that. His shoulder pads are made up of a softer, rubbery plastic, so when you go up, it does go up over the shoulder, so it doesn't hinder articulation in that way. So you get a bunch of up and pretty good back. As I said again, it does pop up out of the way. Rotation right above the elbow, single jointed elbow, gets just above 90. Swivel at the wrist, and then on the left hand you get a back and forth hinge. On the right hand, oh, okay, back and forth hinge. Swivel at the hip, or at the right underneath the diaphragm area. Oh, okay, that comes off. Cool. That's neat. So, rotation below the diaphragm. You get a crunch forward about that much. And a lean back about that much. So he does have a belt that has some pliability to it. And that allows for him to get the leg out that much. Forward. Awesome forward. And then backwards. Pretty good back. He has a rotation that's hidden by the armor up on his thigh. Then a double knee joint that goes pretty much all the way up. But he does have hinge at the ankle that allows for that much forward. Allows for that much back. And then does have that forward pacing fin for pockers. That forward facing pin for rockage. With Ezra, we have two accessories that he comes with. First being this helmet. It's super cool. I dig that. I'm very happy that that was part of the packaging for my guy. I like when he wears this. I like that the tie-in back to the show. It makes for a great look for this character. He also comes with his blaster / lightsaber. You can take the lightsaber portion out, and it's just his blaster. That's cool. And then, of course, the lightsaber beam or blade pops back in pretty easily. Where the blaster does also hang from a peg, so if you wanted to store that, that looks pretty cool. The amount of detail in this figure is incredible. From the photoreal printing on his face to the purple hair, love that. That looks great. His vest, super soft material, soft plastic, and I like the way that it comes down. You know, a lot of his wardrobe is ripped there, and his pant leg. He's got his flight suit on, a mismatched shin guard, and a knee pad. The holster / belt combo down here around his waist is great as well. I like the amount of detail. The back of his jacket, it actually feels like it's sculpted and then painted. But yeah, super great. Like the amount of detail on this figure, with any of the Rebels figures in this wave, has been great. I know there's a lot of reuse which we'll get to, but overall, the design, the sculpt, the paint on this guy is awesome. My main gripes come with his articulation, and it's mainly below the waist, as we'll see, but I'll start with the normal stuff. Head's on a swivel. Does look like he has a ball joint at the bottom of his neck, so you do get a little back and forth. You do get, well, because of his hair and collar, you don't really get an up. Here's it okay down, and the tilt is minimal, but there is some. His arm's on a swivel, goes all the way around. No butterfly joint, but his arm does kick back that far. Single jointed elbow comes up that far. Then down, you have a swivel at the elbow as well. Swivel at the wrist. You have back and forth swivel on the left wrist, and then I assume, yeah, there's an up and down on the right wrist for his blaster slash lightsaber holding hand. You have a twist right below the diaphragm. Does not really crunch forward too far. He only has really a little bit of lean. No drop downs at the hips. We'll come back to those. Does have a swivel that's hidden by the strap of the holster at the thigh. Double jointed knees that come all the way up. And then down on his feet, he does have a forward-facing pin for rocker, and then only really kicks back, not really any kick forward. So my main problem with this guy comes at the hips. When you try and pull his leg forward, I don't know if it's the holster strap, it doesn't feel like that's getting too tight. It feels like there's something more in the mechanism of that is keeping him from really doing much. Gets a kick out like that. Like I said, a kick forward about that far. And then, I mean, no real kick back. Feels like the ball up inside the hip is fighting me. I really dislike that. I've had a lot of problems getting him to stand straight up because, I don't know if you can tell, but his left leg kicks out further in a resting position than his right leg kind of comes almost straight down. But his left one comes way out. Every time I do anything to it, it feels like it wants to break. So I'm going to pretty much just set this guy up on my shelf and leave him the fuck alone because I love the way he looks. I'm not super psyched about any of his articulation. And then lastly, we got Choppa. He's not super articulate, but he does have a bunch of little things about him that move and adjust and pivot and pop out and all of that stuff, and that's cool. We'll go over that. Well, I dig the design of this. So the short and squat kind of does match the design of the show, but it doesn't look overly stylized. He doesn't look like a cartoon, but he doesn't look real either. And that's I kind of feel that way with Zeb. The longer that I've had him, some of the elements of his hands and like the paint job on his fur doesn't look as realistic as I'd hoped it would. But I like this figure. I love an R5 or an R2 unit. So as far as accessories, it comes with this engine, or I don't know what you call that. It allows for him to pop up like that, or just sit on his plume of smoke and stuff that coming out of him. I like this effect. I dig that it's kind of wacky and it's a little bit cartoony because it is the Rebels line, and it goes from realistic all the way to a little cartoony. So if you wanted to fit him a little bit slimmer on your shelf, you can turn it. The base is nice, so you can move him around, and it kind of holds him wherever he is. Also, it came with a removable leg. I don't know the significance of the different designs, but here's the one I just had on him, and here's the other one. This one is a closer match to the right leg, and this one has some green and yellow paint up at the top and not a wire that comes out of it. I like the green and yellow just because, you know, it's a different color. So when you pull out the blast off effect, you can also put in a wheel. Since these things also have wheels, he rolls. That's kind of cool. So his legs do articulate a little bit. You get a little bit of a rock back and forth on them, and for the most part, when you set them in a position, they'll stay. They do rotate or swivel all the way around. This up here, the antenna on top spins. Right here, you have one of his arms, one of his head arms, if you will, second head arm. And then down here on his belly, you've got a third arm that is articulated. This thing is so thin, but as you can see, it does have a hinge, so it does rotate. Yeah, super cool. Dig Chopper. Happy to have him in the Man Boy Playroom. So all in all, for what I paid for these, I am happy with what I got. Happy to extend the Rebels crew, extend my Mandalorian collection. The Rebels are super similar to the show, and I like the way that the realism and cartoon quality has bridged the gap to come up with these figures. And I really, really love a lot of what's going on with the Death Trooper. Look, I don't know, he's so lanky. Something about him. One of the best trooper designs, if not my favorite. I really like Biker Scouts. That's really close. What'd you guys think? Is this a dumb idea? Do you guys like seeing me go through my loose figures and kind of give them a review like this? Do you guys not give a shit? Comment down below. Let me know. Tell me if I should stop. Tell me if I should keep going with these. I have tons of other loose figures that I love to share, love to talk about with you. But if you're not digging it, if you're not down with it, we'll see what else we can figure out. Other than that, like below if you liked it, or don't. Subscribe below if you want to subscribe and see more. Be alerted whenever I put up something new. Or don't. That's fine. Just keep coming back. Love you like fried chicken.